check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Microphone check. Microphone checker. Mic just check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Microphone checker. Let's see if I get my audio going, guys. Microphone checker. Just how's my audio sound? I might have to get an actual mic. Let's see if I get my audio going, guys. Give me one moment here. How's my audio sound? I might have to get an actual. Is there an echo in the mic? Don't think so. I think the audio is good. Give me one moment here. How's my audio sound? I might have to get an actual. Is there an echo in the mic? Don't think so. All right. Give me a moment here. Mic check, mic check. Turning up some audio levels. Let's see if that helps us. Sounds kind of low. Don't think so. All right. Give me a moment here. Mic check, mic check. Turning up some audio levels. Let's see if that helps us. Sounds kind of low. All right. Give me a moment here. Mic check, mic check. All right, I think we are good here with the audio. Sounds kind of low. All right. Mic check, mic check. All right, I think we are good here with the audio. Sounds kind of low. All right. All right, you guys. So this is Chris with Patch Boy Darb. Patches for the culture. And right now we're doing some late night digitizing. All right, we're going to be looking at some basic stuff of the Wilcom Hatch Digitizer. As you guys can see on my screen, can you guys see my mouse moving around? So this is Chris with Patch Boy Darb. Patches for the culture. Interesting. I don't think you can see my mouse. And right now we're doing some late night digitizing. All right, we're going to be looking at some basic stuff of the Wilcom Hatch Digitizer. As you guys can see on my screen, can you guys see my mouse moving around? So this is Chris with Patch Boy Darb. Patches for the culture. Interesting. I don't think you can see my mouse. Right now we're doing some late night digitizing. All right, we're going to be looking at some basic stuff. Give me a moment here, y'all. Give me a moment. Wilcom Hatch Digitizer. As you guys can see on my screen, can you guys see my mouse moving around? I'm clicking on the Manage Designs tab. For the culture. Trying to see if I can see my mouse. Right now we're doing some late night digitizing. All right, we're going to be looking at some basic stuff. Give me a moment here, y'all. Give me a moment. Wilcom Hatch Digitizer. My screen, can you guys see my mouse moving around? I'm clicking on the Manage Designs tab. For the culture. Trying to see if I can see my mouse. Right now we're doing some late night. Hang on, there's some serious. We're going to be looking at some echoes going on here. Give me a moment. What is going on with all these echoes? I think the echoes are gone now. There's a lag in my live stream, so I'm just trying to work out this little lag. Once I got this all figured out, we'll go right into doing a little bit of digitizing. I think you guys can see my mouse on the screen. There is a delay on my end, so I kind of wait for the delay to catch up just to make sure everything's working right. Alright, I can see my mouse on the screen, so that's good. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into some digitizing. So you guys, if you are new to Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, this is the software right here. When you first open up your software, it will show you a design library tab. Wilcom Hatch Digitizer already comes with a bunch of built-in designs. As you can see here, just slowly scrolling through some of these. There's a ton of designs already installed, so you can always utilize a lot of these designs in your embroidery. Also with Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, over here on that left hand side, you got the toolboxes tab. This shows you all the different little tools and features that you can use for digitizing. With Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, we're going to go right into it. For this little live stream, we're kind of just going to be using really only this just digitize tab right here. That's interesting, that changed over. So as you can see, I do got a little Adidas logo pulled up. We're going to be digitizing this because we got some straight lines and we got some curved lines. So we're going to mess around with using our left clicks and our right clicks. Type a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Type a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. I'm pretty sure you can. I can hear myself on my playback, but so with this digitizing of this Adidas logo, first of all, to get a design loaded up, over here in Wilcom Hatch in this upper left corner, you can always hit the new blank design, or you can hit Control N on your keyboard for those of you who are more shortcut savvy on the keyboards. And it'll pull up just a blank canvas. As you can see, it's just a solid gray on my screen. If you want to be able to see the hoop, you'll come right here in that center area of the top and hit the hoop button, and it'll bring up a little red box. This is going to be your parameters of your hoop right here. But I already got the Adidas logo loaded up, so I'm going to just close this one. I'm going to exit out of that one. So here's this right here. So as you can see, here's the red indication lines to indicate my hoop. I can always turn it on and off by just clicking that hoop button, as you can see right here. For this, we're going to be using just this digitized tab right here. So let's go ahead and click that digitize tab. Alright, people say they can hear me. For this one, we're going to just mainly be using this right here, this tab, the digitize closed shape. And when we do most of our digitizing, like, quick disclaimer, we're not a certified digitizer over here. We've just kind of been learning on our own throughout the years. And for me personally, using this digitize closed shape and the digitize open shape are mainly the two tools that I use. Here and there, I'll use the digitize blocks. I'll use some of the other features, but I mainly use these two settings right here, or these two tools, the digitize open shape and digitize closed shape. We're going to digitize with the closed shape, and right off to the side we'll just do like a quick little lesson. So right now I'm doing some left clicks, and as you can see with the left clicks it makes straight lines. I'm going to hit enter and it's going to make that shape there. Let me turn off my hoop. So when you do left clicks, when you're using the digitize closed shapes, it will make straight lines. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do right clicks. And once I start going, you can see the right clicks make curved lines. So for those of you who don't know Wilcom Hatch Digitizers, or Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, when you do left clicks, it'll make straight lines. Right clicks will make curved lines. Always keep that in mind. So now I'm going to go ahead and delete these. And we'll do it again, but with the digitize open shape. So with the digitize open shape, I'm going to do some left clicks. I'm going to hit enter. You see it just kind of gave me a solid line. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do some right clicks. So I'm just right clicking right now. And I'll hit enter. As you can see, I still got a single run type of stitch. And I can always go around, hit my selection tool, which is O on the keyboard. for those of you who are shortcut savvy. So when you hit O on the keyboard, it'll select the current object you're on. You can always come over here to the right hand side as well to your object tab or your sequence tabs. And this shows all the different objects that are currently on our canvas. So you can always come over here to select those objects as well. But we'll select the curved one. And right here in our object properties, we can change the stitch style of it. Let me zoom in on it. And as I'm zooming in, I'm just using the scroll wheel on my mouse. So scroll wheel zooms me in and out, but it zooms you in and out on the point wherever your mouse is or where your cursor is. So always remember that. It doesn't zoom in and out on the object, but in and out where your cursor is. So back over here into object properties, I can come in here and mess around with the type of stitches that we can do with that digitize open shape. It's kind of limited to what you can do with the digitize open shape, but it does come in handy for some patch designs or some general embroidery designs. Let me go ahead and delete those. We'll do that same thing again, but with the digitize close shapes. Let's go ahead and make that little house shape again using some left clicks. And as you can see, when I hit enter, it closed the design because it's still set on this outline shape right here in this upper left. So you got your outline and you got your fill. So you want to select that object, and you can either have it as a fill or you can have it as an outline. You can always come in here and change your object properties, give it like a satin stitch. This would be an easy way to make some borders if you want to put some borders around your patches. But you can do your outline or you can do your fill. Either or. Alright, now with this object, as we have it as a fill, you can always come in here to your object properties again, and you can come down. You got motif, you got embossed, you got ripple, and you got some other little settings here. Sometimes what we like to use in some patches is we'll use a motif. When you click motif, you see it gave it just basic pattern in the fill. But you can always come down into the motif categories and change it up some. So the motifs are mainly just like single run type stitches that gives us some cool effects. And Wilcom Hatch has like some built-in categories. You can always hit this drop down arrow and check out some of the different categories that are in there. There's also the embossed setting. And the emboss gives it like a cool stitch effect. Some of our patches do have some cool embossed stitch effects. And once again, down here there's like a bunch of different options. You can hit this more tab, and this will pull up all of the different emboss settings down here in this lower right, if you guys can see. There's tons of different emboss effects that you can use in Wilcom Hatch Digitizer. But let's just switch it back to the plain old tatami. For those of you who aren't aware, this type of look of the embroidery for what we do with patches, this is called a tatami stitch. This right here is called a satin stitch if you change it to an outline. This right here is your satin stitch. This right here is your tatami stitch. And with this design here, it's a super simple object. You can easily create a border around this by just selecting your object. Oop, hang on, I hit the wrong button. By simply selecting your object, you could, right up here in this upper left, you got a duplicate button, or you can hit Control D on the keypad. So I duplicated it. Over here on the right hand side, you see that there's two objects in our sequence. They're both the same object now. This first object, let's actually no, the second object, well technically it's the third object because the Adidas logo is #1. But this object here, we can change it to a outline, and then that outline, instead of it being a single run stitch, we can change it to a satin stitch, and just like that we got a simple easy border around this object. You can always change the color of it. With Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, down on this lower left, it gives you like some basic colors that you can choose from. So you can change it to these basic colors, any of them. But if you want to certain color specifically, you can come over here to this right hand side where you see the threads tab, and there's all these different colors right here that you can choose from. If you want to use a particular thread type, you can come in here to the select thread chart, and as you can see, it shows you all the different embroidery thread options. So there's all these different options, but if you look on this little right side, you see we only have Floriani and Madeira Rayon selected because those are the main thread colors that we have access to. Let's go ahead and close that. I'm gonna hit the cancel button. But yeah, so let's say instead of the purple you wanted it something else, I can always come over here and find a different purple that's in this category, or I can just simply scroll around until I find a different color that I want to use. And once you hover over it, you can see it says this one is a Madeira thread, and it's the thread color 11112, 1112. And the cool thing about this is, so I'll say the first half is Madeira, and then it switches over to Floriani. As you can see, you see how it switched to Floriani. You got the Madeira, and then it switches to Floriani. So from this point downwards, all these colors are Floriani colors that I can pick up at my local sewing store. All right, let's get back over here. So let me know if you guys got that, and like what the digitized closed shape is and what the digitized open shape is. If you guys understood that clearly, go ahead and type the number 2 in the chat. Type a number 2 in the chat. I gotta turn my little fan on my computer because my computer's getting hot. This is my first time doing a live stream with the actual screen recording. Let me know if you guys can hear me clearly. So if you guys can hear, there's like a little fan or buzzing sound in the background. That's just my extra little fan that I have on my gaming PC, because I use my gaming PC for digitizing. As you can see, you guys are looking, we got the Adidas logo. Also guys, if you guys are tuning in, hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. That thumbs up button helps us reach more potential viewers. All right, we got a 2 in the chat. I see it. I see it in there. So with this logo here, we're basically just going to be using the digitized closed shape for this design. So I'm going to select the digitized closed shape. If I wanted to, I could like pre-change the color, so that way once I actually create the object, it'll be this blue color. But let me switch that blue to a different blue, or I can completely change it to something different. Let's do a yellow or something. Is there any color in particular any guys would like this Adidas logo to be? I'm gonna select this green color until I get an answer in the chat. What color should we make this Adidas logo? We're not going to try to do this little R right here. We're just focusing mainly on the objects here. And I'm doing this Adidas logo because it's a somewhat of a simple logo that would be easy to digitize. Once again, here's my hoop button up here in the upper middle. This hoop button allows you to see those red parameters on the design. Let me hit my select tool. While we're waiting, up here you got your select tool, which is O on the keyboard. You also have your reshape tool, which is H on your keyboard. And let's do a quick example with the reshape tool. So I'm gonna make another random shape here. Let's add a couple nodes. All the little points I'm making are I call them nodes. I think that's what they're called. But when you hit your reshape tool, you see how the object is selected. It shows you all the little points that you've created on this particular object. And let me change that object to a fill. One more thing with Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, it does have a true view look. And so right now we're looking at this object as a true view. If you want to be able to see through this design, we'll turn true view off. Right up here, you got this little stitch, satin stitch, or not a satin stitch, but you got like a little zigzag stitch with an eyeball logo. This is your true view button, or you can hit T on your keyboard. When you hit T on your keyboard or click this button up here, as you can see the object, it shows it like a see-through type of effect. So if you have multiple objects, you'll be able to see each object and select each points. But when true view is on, it'll show you this mode of like a digital rendering of how the stitches look. And once again, we got these, if you guys can see, there's these yellow squares. These yellow squares indicate each point that I made, but not only that, it indicates each left click that I made. So if I add a right click in here, you can see that I'll add a couple right clicks. So for right clicks, you can see the right clicks are like these bluish green circles. The bluish green circles indicate right clicks, also the known as the curve clicks. And with adding these, you can see that I can always manipulate the nodes. So as long as you grab one of those nodes, you can move it around wherever you like it to be. You can do some cool things with this if you wanted to. Not only that, but you saw how easily it was for me to add some nodes in there. So if you want to add some nodes wherever you want it to be, let's say I want to do a left click in here, I'll just left click on that line and it added in a straight line node right there. And from here you can just manipulate everything. And if you guys can see right here on this top part of the design, you'll notice that well, first off, you see this line right here with an orange square going all the way through to this orange square. This is the angle of our stitches. You can click and drag this and it'll change the angle at which it will stitch on your embroidery machine. You see that? So I'm at the 42-degree angle. You can have it at a, I believe Wilcom Hatch defaults it at a 15-degree angle, which is like the basic angle that we use with our patches. But you can make this whatever angle you want it to be. Sometimes with certain embroidery designs, you might want to change the angles of some of your different objects and shapes, especially if they meet up together, so that way you don't get any stitch separation. Alright, moving on. As with being in this reshape view, you can see that there's this green square with a red plus sign in the middle. That indicates your start and end point of the entire object. So that means when it starts stitching, it's going to start up here and then it's going to end here once it's done doing its tatami fill stitch. And for an example, I can go ahead and hit this play button right here. In this top bar, this is a play button. It'll just show you a preview of how it's going to stitch out, or you can hit Shift R on your keyboard. So let's go ahead and hit that real fast. And as you can see, it's showing us how it's going to stitch out when it's stitching out on our embroidery machine. Right up here, like once I hit the play button, this whole bar appeared up here. You got your pause, back. You can skip to the next color if there's multiple colors. Right now it's showing you at a 960 stitch minutes or stitches per minute. You can slide this bar and make the stitches go faster on this digital rendering. So that way if you don't want to be waiting all day just to see how it stitches out, you can increase the speed here. But as you can see, it started in this point and it's going to end in this point. So the stitches are working their way up to this point. I'm going to go ahead and stop that. And yes, you guys, you can go in here once you hit your reshape tool or H on your keyboard. You can change your start point and your end point. So let's say we wanted the end point to end right in the middle, and you want the start point to start over here. And yes, it does come in handy to mess around with your start points and your end points, just so you can get some good quality stitches when you actually do your embroidering. So now if we hit the play button, you'll see that it's going to start here instead of starting up here. So I'm going to hit that play button, and you see it started there, and now it's going to work its way around Let me go ahead and skip through here. You see this whole green bar? This green bar indicates the color of this object. And as you can see, this bar is moving on its own, which indicates like where it is in our current rendering for the playback. So as you can see, it filled up here. Now it's moving up here, and it's going to start stitching its way down. Let me go ahead and scrub this bar a little further. So at this point right here, it switches over and it starts embroidered stitching right here until it's going to come up to this point. Because remember, we put our end point right over in this area, so it's going to end in that area. Let's go ahead and stop that. Let's go to a reshape point again. I mean, our end point is actually right here, so it's interesting that it stopped it there. But typically with your end point, you want it to be somewhere where your stitches won't look weird. So as you can see, when I put it right here, it gave it, the rendering has this weird stitch line here. I've noticed that like when I actually do the embroidery, you don't see like this weird stitch line. It's only in the rendering you see this weird stitch line. But when I'm digitizing, I like to put my endpoint somewhere to where I don't have that weird stitch line. Alright guys, I know we're moving kind of fast, but let me know if you're following along, if you guys are understanding what I'm preaching to you. How many people we got here? We've got 3 people watching. Let's see here. It is late night on a Friday, so I know people are probably out and about getting ready to enjoy their night and get a good start to their weekend. Let me go ahead and delete this object. I'm sure we'll get a lot of people watching on the playback. So back over here to the Adidas logo. Let's go ahead and start digitizing this Adidas logo. So for this, I think I'm going to start just the upper half, then the middle lines, and then the lower half. So for digitizing this, I'm going to come to this point right here. And you can zoom in as close or as far as you need to do this. I'm going to left click right here on this point. I'm going to hold control, because when you hold control on your keyboard, it kind of snaps the line into place. Hopefully you guys can see this good on the screen. I'm going to do a left click right there. Now coming up this way, I'm going to do some right clicks. So I just did a right click there. I'm going to do a right click right here. And I'm going to do a left click here. And then I'm going to do a right click here, right click here, and I'm going to hit enter, and that's going to create our shape. You see that? Now I'm going to do this middle one here. I'm going to left click here. I'm going to hold control and come all the way across to this point. I'm going to left click there. Now I'm going to do some right clicks coming up this way. And I'm going to left click right there. And then I'm going to do some more right clicks. I'm going to right click right here. And I'm going to hit enter. There we are. Check it out. So it's getting digitized very quickly. I'm going to do my select tool. And I'm going to select the first object that we made, this shape here. Actually, let me change the color of it. So we'll make each thing a different color. Or each object, I'll say, a different color. So this object here is red, this one's green. But for making this object here, instead of doing the left clicks and right clicks, what we can do is simply select this object, come up here to this tab where it says duplicate, or you can hit Control D on your keyboard. We'll duplicate it, and you can tell it duplicated because it made the object over here in our sequence column. So now what I can do is I can mirror it. So right here up in the middle area, there's the mirror X. I'm going to hit the mirror X. It's going to mirror that object, and then I'm going to just drag it over to here, just like that. And I can use the keys up, the left and right, up and down arrow keys on my keyboard to like just adjust it to the point where I want it to be. And let's make that a different color. Alright, so there's the first half of the Adidas logo. Also, as you can see, the artwork, if I click on the artwork, it selects the entire artwork. In doing this, sometimes you can accidentally click the artwork and move the artwork around. Let me hit Control Z to get it back into place. To make sure that artwork doesn't move around, you can right click on it and you can hit the lock button, or you can hit K on your keyboard when the object is selected. So now that locks it, and now I can't click it at all. And also over here in our sequence, you can see that there's a little lock icon on number 1, which is our artwork. And you can do that same lock for all the objects you create. Alright, let's go in here. Now I'm going to work on this second half of the design. So I broke the design off into 3 parts. So you got the upper part, the middle part, and the lower part. And right now we're going to do the middle part. I'm going to digitize closed shape. I'm going to do a left click here. I'm going to come across holding Control on the keyboard just so I can have a solid straight line. I'm going to hit left click there. There's not quite a curve in here, but if you wanted to, you can right click right there and then left click there, but there's not too much of a curve on these lines. I'm going to hold Control and come across here. It's kind of off a little bit, but I think that the graphic itself is a little off and not quite placed right, but there we are. Let's do it again right here. I'm not going to do the duplicate and move it down because as you can see they're different sizes. I could duplicate it and then just like shrink it a little bit, but I'm gonna just go ahead and digitize it. For those of you who didn't catch it, the way I'm zooming in and out is simply by using the scroll wheel on my mouse. Now this is kind of way off. Let me just come like that. Alright, so there's the second half. Let's go ahead and change the colors of those. Let's do something a little different. We'll do a lighter pink, just so it's not too close to the red. Alright, so now let's do the lower half. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're tuning in, this is Chris with Patches for the Culture. And right now we're just doing a quick late night digitizing. I don't plan on saving this to make patches out of it. We're more so just using this Adidas logo just for a quick little lesson on Wilcom Hatch Digitizer. If you're just now tuning in, you want to definitely rewind the live stream because we did talk about the digitize closed shape tool here on the left hand side, and we did talk about the digitize open shape tool. So definitely be sure to check out the playback so you guys can get the tips on that. Not only that, we did go over talking about doing left clicks and right clicks, and how the left clicks make straight lines and your right clicks on your mouse they create curved lines. Alright, let's get back to this digitizing because it is getting late and your boy is getting sleepy. Alright, so we're gonna finish off this lower half design. And notice too, before I start doing this, notice that each object I create, it creates an object over here in your sequence. So our number 1 is our overall Adidas logo. Then we got 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Each object is its own object over here. So you can always use the select tool here in this upper left or hit O on your keyboard. And you can come through here and select each object on the canvas. Or you can come over here and select each object in the sequence like that. Alright, let's get back over here. We're going to click back on our digitize closed shape. Notice that there is no shortcut key for the digitize closed shape, but there is one for the digitize open shape, which I find kind of odd. But alright, we're going to digitize closed shape. We're going to change our color to black. And now let's go ahead and do a left click. Remember, our left clicks make straight lines. Now I'm going to do some right clicks because there's kind of some curves in there. Left click there. It's always common practice to do a left click right at a point. Because if I did a right click, it wouldn't be a straight point like that. Alright, let's right click here. I'm going to hit enter. So there's that one. Let me finish. Now let's do another one. Let's do silver. So right down here, if you guys are just now tuning in, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. But right down here, we got our basic colors that Wilcom Hatch defaults to. So you can always select from these colors, but if you want specific colors, what you can do is select on, like for instance, we're selected on gray. When the gray is selected, it has this black box around it. You'll come over here to your right hand side where you got your threads, and you can go ahead and choose whatever thread color you like, and it'll switch it onto that that color, whichever color you choose. So let's say we want a darker gray. Let's see if we can find one. So let's do shark. I clicked on shark, and as you can see back down here on our colors, it did switch to that shark thread color. Alright, so we got shark selected. We got our digitized closed shape selected. Let's go ahead and do a left click. Left click. I'm going to do some right clicks because this triangle isn't a straight line triangle, but it has like some curvature to it. I'm going to hit enter. Let's do this one here. Now, if you're just now tuning in, instead of creating this object, what we can do is just use our selection tool, or O on the keyboard. We're going to select the black shape right here. We're going to come up to the duplicate button, hit that duplicate button, and now come over here in the middle area where it says mirror X. Hit that mirror X button, and that's going to mirror that object, and then we'll simply just move it into place like that. And you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard, the left, right, up, and down, to manipulate the placement slightly. As you can see, I'm hitting the up, down, left, and right keys, and you can see it slightly moves the object. There we are. Now let's go ahead and change this color because we want everything to be a different color. So there's our Adidas logo. If we wanted to, we can put a whole border, a satin stitch around this just to make it more of a patch. So let's do that real fast. We got some time. You guys got some time? If you got some time, put a 2 in the chat. Put the number 2 in the chat if y'all got some time. If y'all want to see me put a border around this patch. Go ahead and put 2 in the chat, y'all. Be active. Be involved in the comments. I need you guys to be active and involved in the comments. Where y'all at? Come on, I'm waiting for you. Type a 2 in the chat. Also, if you haven't done so already, hit a thumbs up button. I'm waiting for you guys. Where you at? Some people got scared and left. I saw it. They got scared to type the number 2 in the chat. If you're too scared to type the number 2 in the chat, I don't know if you can actually do good having an embroidery business, or any kind of business at that. Alright, Kalisha got number 2 in the chat. Kalisha typed the number 2 in there. Alright, so let's go ahead. We got 1, 2 in the chat, so let's go ahead and create a outline around these objects. So what I'm going to do, in the sequence column right here, I'm going to select my object 2, because object 2 is that first red object there. I'm going to hold shift and click on the number 9 object, and that's going to select all of my objects right there. While all of these objects are selected, I'm going to come down into my toolboxes. I'm going to minimize digitize box. I'm going to come down to create layouts. The create layouts tab, I'll do that one more time. I'm going to go to the create layouts tab. And now I'm going to come down here to the create outlines and offsets. Once again, that's the create outlines and offsets. So let's go ahead and click on that one. And it gives us some different settings here. My settings are kind of already set, but this, I probably want to change this to more of like a 125. Hang on, let's see here. I got to turn my numbers locks on. Let's do 0.125. Let's see what that does. And I'm going to hit OK. And as you see, it put a single stitch outline. Let me change the color so y'all can see it better. I'll change it to black. it put a single stitch outline around all of my objects. And the reason I spaced it out to that 0.125 is so that way I can get a good space away from my objects. And now what I can do here, if I wanted to, I can select that object and I can turn that object into a fill. And that fill, I can, you can see it's number 10 right here in our sequence. I can hit this up arrow or the move to top button, move it all the way to the top, and it'll put it behind all of our other objects. And let me change this one here to a white. So as you can see, it kind of has, that kind of looks cool with the black background with the colorful objects in the logo. So I can do it that way. I'm a Control Z, so you guys can, we'll go back to the single run stitch. If I wanted to, I could just select that single run stitch object and simply add in right here in our object properties, select the satin stitch, and the satin stitch just gives it that nice satin stitch border that we like to put on all of our patches. Check it out, you guys, check it out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select this satin stitch. I'm going to duplicate it. The duplicated piece, I'm going to turn it into a fill. I'm going to send it all the way to the back, or all the way to the top. And I'm going to change this object here back to white. So now not only do I got the black fill, I also have a satin stitch border. But now if any of you guys know about digitizing, you can see that like if I turn true view on and off, remember our true view is this button right here in that center. It's the zigzag stitch with the eyeball and it says true view. That lets us see through our embroidery, seeing all the objects. If you guys can see, the black stitch is sitting underneath the green, red, and all the other objects. I'll turn the true view back on. So that black is sitting underneath all those. So that's going to be a layer. And sometimes it's all right to have have the stitches layer on top of each other, but sometimes it's good to take that layer out. So if we wanted to remove all the black tatami stitches that's behind the green, what we can do is select that black layer. We need to go back into Digitize. Remember, Digitize is the main section we've been using. So we'll go into Digitize and we will go right here. It says Digitize Holes. So we can select that Digitize Hole button right there. When we select that button, you see it creates this like white. It creates this like white outline, or not an outline, but it shows like, it basically shows the border or edging of that object. So what we can do here is we can turn our true view on. You can have true view on or you don't have to. Let's keep true view. Right now we have true views on right now, so we'll keep it like that. But what I'll do is I'll come right here, I'll do a left click. But as you can see where I'm left clicking so that way there's going to be some overlap. I'll left click there. I'll left click right here. I'll do like some right clicks. Notice that I'm just kind of closely following the inside of the green shape. Right there, I'll hit enter. When I hit enter, it closed the shape, so now I got to hit enter one more time. So now that I hit enter, it actually deleted the black that's behind it. So let's go ahead and turn true view on. As you can see, like how true view looks here, or how the true view looks here versus these objects here. Not only that, but if you come to our object in our sequence, you can see that that whole black behind the green is gone now, just by simply looking at our object right here, our number 2 object in the sequence. All right, I'm gonna turn true view back on. I'm gonna just delete these objects here, just so I can get back to this our main logo. So I just deleted the background and the satin stitch border. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna select all of my objects. So I'm gonna select number 9. I'm going to hold shift and then select number 2. It selects all the objects. I'm going to right click on them and hit group just so they all stay together. When you hit that group button, you see every object now has a green box around it, as well as like a little number right here. I think it's a number, I can't quite tell. Actually, no, it looks like a square with like a line through it. But they're all grouped together now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to simply change the size of this. To change the size, you can come in here. Well, with the object selected, you can see that there's these black boxes. If you click on it again, those black boxes will turn into white boxes. The white boxes allow you to rotate the object. You see that? Control Z. The black boxes allow you to change the size of the object. I'm gonna go ahead and unlock my main the artwork, the Adidas logo, and I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. Actually, we don't quite need it anymore. So what I did was I shrunk down the logo itself, and I'm gonna turn my hoop off so we can see it a little bit better. So I shrunk it down because now what I want to do is hit the satin button. And as you can see, it gave it all a satin type of stitch. If I shrunk it more, it could potentially eliminate the little gaps right here. Because you can only do a satin stitch so far before you get these like gaps like that. And you can shrink it down to the point where those are gone. So right now our object is, if you come up, if you select it, it'll show you it up here. But not only that, if you don't have it selected, down here, kind of towards the right hand side, almost in the middle, but more on the right, it shows your width and height. So right now it's 0.79 by 0.55. And what I can do is ungroup it. The reason I ungrouped it is because I want to change the stitch angles of these lines right here. So I'm going to click the pink object. I'm going to hit the reshape button, or you can hit H on your keyboard. And right now, so we got our line that indicates our angle. Remember I showed you guys this earlier, our angle button. If you guys are just now tuning in, be sure to watch it from the beginning so you can, because you guys definitely missed out on some tips and tricks we showed in the beginning. But I have my line, the orange squares with the lines. This is our angle button. I'm going to change the angle to 90 degrees. I'm also changing my stop point, which is that red plus sign. And I'm going to move it to over there. And as you can see, this line, right, the pink line, looks a lot better than that purple line. So let's do the same thing to the purple line. I'm going to hit the H on my keyboard. I'm going to change the angle to 90 degrees so it gets a solid stitch. And I'm going to move my end point to there. That looks a lot better. Let's mess around with the angles on some of these points. So I'm going to hit H on my keyboard. If you're not keyboard shortcut savvy, you can always hit this reshape button right here in the upper left. Let's change these angles and see what happens. I think I like that angle right there. What do you guys think? If you guys are watching, hit that thumbs up button, you guys. Take a quick break and hit that thumbs up button for me. We got 2 likes so far. Let's see if we can get up to 3 or 4. All right, I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna change this angle. I want to change the angle to where I can get that little point at the tip. Right there. I'm also changing my end point on this object. So on this object, I'm going to grab that red plus, and I'm going to change it to there, because the red plus is our end point. The green box is our start point. There we go. It looks pretty good. I think this will stitch out really well on the polo. Because on polo shirts, you got like a little logo right on that right chest or left chest. Alright, I'm going to change the angle, the stitch angle on this one as well. So I'm going to hit H on my keyboard. I'm going to change the orange angle box. Like that. And as you see here, it didn't happen on any of the other objects, but it did happen on this object. Our start point and our end point is, for some reason, is attached to the angle tab. So I'm gonna just grab my start point, put it right there. I'm gonna take my end point and put it like right there. Actually, I'm gonna have my start point and end point be in the same spot. Let's see, how does that look? There's a little stitch right here. Let me see. I'm gonna change around my nodes a little bit. I'm gonna delete this node here. To delete a node, all you gotta do is simply click on the node itself and then just hit the delete button. Let's see. If you don't like how it looks, you could hit Control Z to undo it, or you can come here right to the top, right in the middle area, and hit the undo reshape, and that'll bring that node back. I can click it again, and it'll bring that node back. But I do want to remove that first node, so there we go. I like how it looks like that. All right, we'll change the angle on the brown side. I hit the reshape button right here in the upper left. I'm going to change my end point to right there. And now I'm going to change my angle. What does the 90-degree angle look like? The 90-degree angle isn't bad. Let me do the 90-degree angle on that one too. There we go. So as you can see, there's our Adidas logo, all the different colors. If you guys are just now tuning in, hit that thumbs up button. Not only that, but you do want to start this live stream from the beginning, so that way you guys can hear how we went over the digitized closed shape as well as the digitized open shape. Also, how we went over some of the little key features that we're using for this entire live stream. If some of you guys are finding some of this helpful, type a 1 in the chat. Type a 1 in the chat if some of you guys are finding this content helpful. All right, so let's go ahead and do a hit the player button so we can visually see how this is going to stitch out when it actually stitches out on an embroidery machine. So remember to get that preview of the play. We'll come up here to the icon right here, the player button. It is the red play button with the black circle around it, and also it says player here. Let's go ahead and click that, and let's check out how this thing is going to stitch out. Let me slow down the stitches per minute. I'm going to start it from the beginning. So let's take a quick look. So I got it, the playback stitching at 660 stitches per minute, and you can tell by this right here where my mouse is circling over. So we're just watching how it's going to stitch out, and this is how it will stitch out when it's actually embroidering on the embroidery machine. And it's good to look at your the play button, because it might do something that you feel like is unnecessary. So you can always just check it out in the player, and if it says, let's say let me stop the player. Let's say if we don't want it to do like a single run stitch before it does the satin stitch, you can click the object. You can come over here to your object properties, go into stitching, click on stitching, and as you can see, it does an underlay zigzag. Instead of doing let me adjust it so you guys can see it better. Instead of it doing a underlay type zigzag, let's switch it to a you can stitch it to a double tatami, edge run, tatami, zigzag. I was going to stitch it to a single run, but you can do an edge run, and let's see what the edge run looks like. I'm going to actually turn all of these objects, I'm going to switch it to a edge run, and let's watch how it stitches out on the player. Did you guys see that? It does the edge first, and then it does a zigzag, and then it does the satin stitch. On these smaller ones, it just does the edge. Let's stop the player. Let's change these three objects again. In our underlay, remember to get here, Wilcom Hatch automatically, when you select objects, it automatically defaults you to the fill. But when you have the object selected, switch it to the stitching tab. That gets you to your underlay. So right now you can see it's doing a edge run. Let's switch it to tatami. Let's see what the tatami does. So now let's hit the player. That one was interesting. What does it do for this one? That's a weird underlay stitch. I don't like that one. I do not like the tatami one for the satin stitches. So I'm going to stop that. Let's select these objects again and just do double tatami. Let's see what double tatami looks like. We got some time. You guys got some time? What we see? Kristen asks if this live stream will stay up. Yes, this live stream will be public. Once the live stream ends, you got to give it a couple minutes, but you'll be able to play back the live stream. Type it in the chat. All right, so I changed these, the underlay stitches of these top three to a double tatami. Let's see what the double tatami looks like. Seems like a bunch of unnecessary stitches to me. I think I like the edge run more. Not only that, but depending on how small the logo is, you don't even need an underlay stitch. You can always just have it do the satin stitch, and that'll work fine as well. Craftfully Me, thank you. I appreciate you tuning in and finding my content helpful. We appreciate you being here. If you guys have not hit that thumbs up button, you guys be sure to hit that thumbs up button. We are currently at 5 likes. Let's try to get it to 7 likes. Hit that like button, you guys. Hit that like button, that thumbs up button. All right. So we just watched this stitch out fully. I'm going to hit stop up here. I do want to switch these. Let's have it. Let's just turn the underlays off. So I turned the underlays off, and now let's hit the player button. As you can see, it doesn't put any type of underlay stitches. It did put one like right there, but that's because I haven't changed the start and end point. Notice how this one just started and just finished right there. Let me stop again. I'm going to click this object here. I'm going to hit the reshape button in the upper left. As you can see, my start point is this green box. I could change my start point to the top. Let me click on this object. My start point is right here. Let me put my start point right there. And now let's hit the player button again. As you can see, it started right at that point. This one should start right up here at that point. Yep, it started right there. This one should start up here. Yep. And boom. All right. All right, you guys. So this would be perfect if I was stitching the logo small. But let's say if we wanted the logo bigger, I'm going to select all my objects. Remember to select all my objects. I'm going to select number 8. Then I'm going to select number 1. And then from here, I could scale it up using these corners or using the black dots. I can always scale it up that way. Or I can come up here where you see our measurements up here, our width and our height. I'm going to change the width to 3 for 3 inches. And I'm going to just hit enter. And as you can see, it increased the size of it. Now this doesn't look quite right with a satin stitch. The middle section looks good with satin stitches, but up here does not look good. So let's change these objects to a tatami stitch. So let me go back to my fill tab in my object properties and hit tatami. So that looks a lot better with a tatami stitch. Let's come down to this area. This area almost looks alright, but let's see if we can change our angle and see if that helps with those like random satin stitch lines. Right there, you see that? It got rid of that stuff, but I don't like the endpoint being right there. I want the endpoint to be right there at the start point. Yeah, that looks good. All right. So here's how this one will look. So these upper shapes, they're too big to be satin stitches, but from the lines and these other objects down here, works perfect for a satin stitch. If we wanted to, we could come in here to these objects, select all of these objects. The way I selected all these objects on the screen instead of like over here is just select one object, hold the control button on your keyboard, and then select the other two objects, and it selects all three. You can do that same thing over here in your sequence tab. But all three of these are selected. I can come over here and hit duplicate. As you can see right here, it duplicated all three of those objects. And what I'm going to do with these objects, I'm going to come right here and hit the outline. Once I hit the outline, you can see that there's a single run stitch. I don't want a single run stitch. I want to come over here to object properties, and I want to hit satin. So you can see that it put a border around all the objects, but notice that there's like overlap. This orange is coming over the green. If we want the green in front, we need to select the green in our object sequence, and let's move it down one. So right here you got move down one object, or you can move to bottom. I'm going to move it down one, so now you can see the green is in front of the orange, which looks more cohesive. There is some overlap here. If you can see, I'm going to turn True View off, and you can see that the green does overlap on the red, which works fine for me. I'm not too picky about it. I don't actually plan on stitching this out. This is more so just a late night digitizing stream. I hope some of you guys are finding this stream helpful. If you have not done it, or if you're scared to do it, hit that thumbs up button, you guys. So there's that. Once again, I'll put a border around everything. Well, actually, let me do this real quick. So you can see here, if we go to our object or our sequence tab, see it does the red, green, orange, then it does the center lines, the gray and the brown and the white, and then it does our satin stitches around our objects. I don't want that to do that second or lastly. I want it to do it immediately after each object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my red. I'm going to, instead of hitting these buttons here, you can't always click and drag it into place where you want it to be. So I clicked and dragged that object to be number 2. So now it's going to do the tatami fill stitch, and then it's going to do the satin border around that red. I want to do the same for the green. I'm going to click and drag it up right there. But notice when I clicked and dragged it there, it put the orange. The orange is going to be overlapping again. So I am going to rearrange the order of the orange object. So the orange one here in the sequence, I'm going to make it come after the red. And then I'll take the orange outline, have it right there. And now our green, it'll do the green fill and then the green satin stitch border. The cool thing about Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, you guys, is that when you start creating your objects and you get your sequence right here, it is so easy to just be able to like move your objects to different spots. Like, so when you start digitizing, if you're unsure like how you want the order to be, like you can always come in here, rearrange your order, hit your play button just so you can visually see how it's going to stitch out. You can increase the stitch speed so that way it stitches out faster, so you're not waiting all day. But definitely utilize the player button, and if something seems like, if a certain object seems like it should be stitched out later, feel free to move those objects. For instance, let's say if we want the 2 lines to be stitched out last, I'm going to just select those 2 objects and I'm going to just drag them down to the bottom. And let's make them be last. You can drag them to the bottom, or you can click the up and down arrow keys, and that moves it as well, one object at a time. So if we want those to be last, we can easily make them last. If you want to change the color of some of these things, just simply click on the object, click on a different color in here. You can click on any one of these colors, or you can just simply click that object, come over here to your thread colors, find a different color that you think you might want to use, and just select that color. And as you can see, it changed the color of that object, you guys. With Wilcom Hatch Digitizer, you get the freedom of creating your objects and manipulating them in a way that you can't do if you purchased, for instance, if you purchased the design from a third party, you can't really go in there and change any of the features or the order sequence of it. But when you digitize it yourself, you have the freedom of manipulating the whole design to your liking. Alright, you guys. This has been Chris with Patches for the Culture. We just digitized this Adidas logo. I'm zooming in and out using the scroll wheel on my mouse. If you missed it, to zoom in and out, it zooms in and out on wherever your mouse cursor is. So wherever your mouse cursor is, that's where it's going to zoom in and out when you're using that scroll wheel. We'll take a moment to see if anybody want to put anything in the chat. If somebody got a quick question, we'll give you a good 20 seconds. Actually, we'll give you 30 seconds because you might have to type it out. So go ahead and do a quick comment. We'll keep an eye on the chat. I say we got 6 likes. We got 6 likes. Can we get some more likes in there? I say we got a good amount of viewers, but we only got 6 likes, you guys. Let's hit that thumbs up button. Like the content, like the video. Also, if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. This current live stream is set to where you have to be a subscriber in order to leave a comment. Or you have to be a subscriber for a certain amount of minutes. I don't remember how many minutes it is. But yeah, we just did this. We just digitized this Adidas design. The way it's digitized right now, this will work best if you're digitizing it directly onto something. If we wanted this to be a patch, we will want to create some outlines. So let me create some outlines real quick while we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions in the chat. I'm going to create an outline. We did it earlier, but let's do it again. To create an outline around the entire shape, come over here to your toolboxes. You need to minimize digitize if you already have digitize open. You need to come down to create layouts. Go down to create layouts and then come down to this create outlines and offsets. Click on create outlines and offsets. This box menu will pull up on your screen. For me personally, I have it set at, or I have my offset set at 0.125 inches. I like how it is there. For my type, instead of having to switch it to satin stitch over in our object properties, I'm going to switch it to a satin right here. So I switch that to a satin. I can even change the default color. Let's change it to black. And now let's hit OK. And as you can see, it put a black offset border around the entire design. Now if we wanted to, you can stitch this out to be a patch, but if you wanted the background to be black, select that black satin stitch or object that we just created, duplicate it, and change the duplication to a fill. And now with that fill, take that object all the way to the top. So I'm going to move to top. So that way it's behind all of our other objects. My satin stitch border, I'm going to move to the top as well, but I'm going to move it down underneath the fill. So that way that border is on top of the tatami. Let me do this. Let me show you again. So right here, it's underneath the tatami. Let's have it on top of the tatami. That looks a lot more professional right there. And there you have it. This can be a patch as well, but once again, if you guys were tuned in earlier, all this black tatami stitch is going underneath the red, green, and orange. If we want that to be open so that way it's not multiple stitch layers, we'll select that black object. We'll go back into Digitize, our Digitize tab in the toolboxes. We'll go into Digitize Holes, click Digitize Holes. As you can see a white line along with all of our nodes. But what we want to do is we want to come in here and just roughly, I'm going to just do some left clicks. I'm going to do some right clicks here. I did a left click right there. I'm going to do some right clicks. I'm going to hit enter once. I'm going to hit enter just one time. You can see it got this line here. I'm going to do another one. I did a left click, do some right clicks, left click here. I'm just doing this kind of quick so it's not going to look super clean as I would like it to be. I'm going to hit enter again. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to left click, do some right click, left click, do some right clicks. I'm going to hit enter. So now you can see there's these different line shapes here. I'm going to hit enter one more time to confirm it. And that just erased all of the extra stitching behind the red, green, and orange. So I just turned my True View off. The True View button, you can hit T on your keyboard, or you can hit this True View button in this top tab, kind of in the middle. Not only that, but if you want to double check that those object or that stitching is not, if you want to make sure that stitching is no longer underneath the red, green, and orange, come over here into your object, and you can see that there's a cutout now in that object. Remember that it was a solid black. Remember that it was I just scaled it up so you guys see it. So it was a solid black at first, but now there's these cutouts. So that way there's not multiple stitch layers. Now you don't necessarily need to do that. It could have stitched out just fine having it that black underneath, but I think we did save ourselves some stitches. Because right now, if you come to the lower right in this blue bar that goes across Wilcom Hatch, you see this number here, this 11,493. This is our current stitch. So this is the current amount of stitches that are in the design. So it's at 11,493 stitches. But let's undo our cutouts. As I hit the undo button, keep an eye on this number here. So I'm going to hit the undo button and see how it jumped up to 12,000 stitches. Let me redo it. So with cutting out some of that stitching, or that the black that's underneath the red, green, and orange, we saved ourselves a good 1,000 stitches or so. So right now it's at 11,493, but with the black stitches being in there, it's at 12,170. So really, when it comes down to it, it's just up to your personal preference. If you don't mind the black being under there, or if you want the black to be cut out just so you can like save on some stitches. The decision is all up to you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, you guys. This has been Chris with Patchboy Art, Patches for the Culture. I see that nobody had any comments, which is fine. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night on this live stream. It's currently 10:26 Mountain Time where I am at. Not sure what time it is for some of you guys out there, but once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you guys on the next live stream. Peace. And step your patch game up.